That's a great connection.
Yeah.
That's a good connection. Morning. Ken, nice to meet you. Morning, Ken, nice to meet you. Ken, nice to meet you.
So why is it that there are many babysitting websites for parents with special needs? It can be very difficult for parents to find a good babysitter, but this can be even more difficult for a parent with special kids in need. These babysitters can often be very hesitant to take care of these kids with intensive necessities. This can lead to a lot of aggravation, frustration from both the parents, babysitters, as well as the children. And that's where we can. Hello, we are SBS Industries providing to you secure babysitting services. I am Amy. I am the CEO and CTO of our group. I'm Andrea. I'm the Secretary and CMO.
And I'm Luis Guerrero, and I am the CFO.
Our solution is a babysitting website for children with special needs or parents able to find suitable and reliable babysitters that fit their child's needs. So for our pivot, our main focus will be babysitting only children with special kids in need, because we want to really focus on giving these parents the security of having a reliable babysitter and let them know that they aren't the only people who have children with special needs in need. This goes all over the world, not just the United States. So our customer segment, we're targeting parents who work full-time who necessarily can't be there for their children from the ages 10 to 25. Here we will be showing you our ad.
Here, these babysitters are stressed about taking care of these kids. They do not meet the child's necessities, which also aggravates both child and babysitter. Let's pause and take a step back to what the babysitter should have done. With our app, Sbs Industries, we can help provide babysitting services that will not only meet the parent's standards, but as well as their child. Say goodbye to stressing over unreliable and unsure babysitting for your child and be able to work without a worry and say hello to Sbs Industries. Here, these babysitters.
To give these parents the security of having a reliable babysitter, we will be doing background scans on each and every one of the babysitters using our app. What we will offer to our babysitters? We will offer to our babysitters to use our app and website, dental insurance, health insurance, and baby insurance. Our customer relationship. Get to share our ad by raising awareness of the children and to our services to receive daily updates from both parent and babysitter through our social media, and get to grow our business by coaching friends and raising awareness of special needs children.
So our definition of success is knowing that every single child in America with special needs is fully taken care of, but also knowing that their parents can work full-time, knowing that their child is in good hands. For our prices, we will now have an $11.99 fee for our babysitters and a 99% one-time fee for our clients and parents. And babysitters will charge at their own range, and parents will pay babysitters accordingly. For our market size, for our 100% accuracy of sales in the United States, we will have a total of $2.1 billion. And for our service addressable market, which is our SAM, we will have a revenue of $5.6 million, as we will have an accuracy of sales of 12%, and a market share revenue of $186,000 with a conversion rate of 3.32%. So for our startup cost, we will kindly ask for $69,962 due to the fact we need money from market research, legal fees, marketing and advertising, employee wages, insurances, and as well as transportation, coding, servers, and background checks, because we will be dealing with children. For SG&A, we will have an ongoing cost of $3,335 as to keep up with our ongoing insurances, once again, and also our domain name and as well as maintenance. And the $550 as well as bug fixes and the ongoing costs of using Apple or apps like basically app stores. So for a timeline with a good projecting ad flow, we estimate by year 1 we'll make up to $186,000, and by year 2 we'll estimate that we'll make up to $192,000, and by year 3 we'll estimate that we'll make up to $198,000.
So we want to thank you for having us here today. Here is our landing page where you can scan the QR code as well as our social media. Thank you for your time.
Are you going to offer
in the babysitting, what's their role of babysitters with the special needs kids? Is there curriculum involved? Any type of therapies, or speech therapy, physical therapy, or the field trips? So what's the plan?
So depending on each and every one of the kids' necessities, each babysitter will have to be certified. The parents are going to look for a specific babysitter that they are looking for. Once they find that specific babysitter, these parents will be having basic care services.
I'm curious. When you decided you called the people who are going to be babysitter employees, how many of these employees are you anticipating needing for the first year?
It could vary. We don't exactly have a specific number that will indicate this, but depending on all the parents that will be on our website, we want to be able to give each and every one of these parents the security of having the babysitter that will fit these kids' necessities. So we don't exactly have a specific percentage for that.
So will you all be the ones that do the background checks on these? I know you said scan for the background. But who's going to be filtering? Who's going to really check the credentials, do the reference checks? Who's going to be doing all of that?
So like we said on our startup cost, we will be paying a secure background scanner that will be doing each and every one of this. Each one of us will be going back into this and making sure that these resources are correct. But as far as we know now, these resources we are using are secure.
And you'll be interviewing, and I'm very passionate about it. I have a son, he's a grandson at Adcon, so I'm just trying to get a visual on how those kids are being serviced. So will your team be one physically interviewing, going through a serious interview process? There's a lot of these children that cannot speak for themselves. And so you want to make sure that they are in the parents, as a grandparent, I want to make sure that my grandson is safe at all times. They don't have nothing to worry about. So will you all take the time to, once I understand the company you're hired, the staffing you're hiring, but this is your company, will you be involved in that process?
Yes, we will be involved in making sure these babysitters are all certified, and that's when the background scan will come in, and that's when parents will know that these kids are secure with these babysitters.
And organizational-wise, what form of a corporation or forming of your business are you doing? Is this a partnership, an LLC? I do notice there is a huge liability if it takes one babysitter, that's a lawsuit. So how are you planning to address that liability? And what are certain steps that you're planning to take to address that?
I haven't covered on that yet, but there are things that I haven't been able to cover up on, as I have been still trying to find information about that type of information. Because Google really isn't that much specific about things, and it's really hard to find a decent website about that. But I would have to say that doing a background check would be our best option.
Well, yeah, even if you do a good background check, it takes one bad experience, one traumatized kid, one giant lawsuit that could be easily over $1 million over emotional damages alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see anywhere, I might be mistaken because I have this plan, I don't see any money allocated for any liability insurance. So if you're not paying for the liability insurance, if that happens, how are you incorporating and protecting yourselves? Because if you don't have a plan for that, you could all personally be fined and sued yourself as if you did the harm to yourself. So that's why I bring it as a big concern to address.
And you're saying that because you feel like they're pitching to investors and the investor needs to be protected, that they don't lose their investment because they get sued and it's gone? It's a paper, it's gone because they didn't protect it and itself for the investors?
Well, it's not so much for the investors themselves, it's more for them personally, because even if they did have that plan of how to protect themselves and so forth, it will damage their brand immediately if they aren't prepared to have internal controls to prevent and then worst case scenario.
So I think what Zach is saying, is saying is, everybody that I see come through and pitch has always got a corporate structure, and corporate labels. And what that does is creates an entity that you're totally separate from. So if that thing got attacked, you set back, it implodes, roll off, start another one. You're just trying to make sure you're thinking of that, but it came out more as a question of, do you know, instead of like, hey, have you thought about, could you do this, and consider. So I just think it's really a suggestion to consider going forward and add that to your pitch before you go to invest in.
We understand that concern, and we'll be looking into that throughout this.
And it would be going on our SG&A costs.
Great presentation. You guys are onto something really, really cool. And I think the idea of like niche specified home care. So it's special needs, or it's somebody who wants to do like special needs for astronauts. You know what I mean? And so I think if you continue this and focus in on a niche product, you really could launch this into a real business. Very good concerns about liability, and my recommendation is to look at partnership models. So find somebody who has legal experience, find somebody who is in this space, and say, hey, we want to run with this sort of little niche idea if you want to partner with us. But no, I think, and what's amazing is, yeah, you guys are talking about, like $50,000 to start up and things like that. It's multiple millions. And so I think fantastic job in terms of finding your own little project that actually you can start and you can turn it into something really amazing.
Thank you.
Good presentation. There are a few things that other judges have mentioned. So going back to how you said employees. So your babysitters are going to be employed by you. Why not just subcontract? Because you're not taking on the liability for subcontractors versus your employer. What about that? Have you thought about that?
We haven't exactly thought about it, but that's actually a great idea, and we will be looking into that.
Because for something like this, your liability insurance would have to be pretty high. It definitely is probably, even for my business, my liability insurance is a lot. And I don't deal with special needs kids. So I just think you really need to have liability insurance for something. And that leads me for something like this, and that leads me into my next question. For your special needs children, I know you were working with Katrina, is that correct?
Yes.
So working with able advocates, and she being your mentor, she knows a lot about disabled children and special needs children. How are you going to match up, because there's so many different variations of different special needs children? How are you going to line up those employees or subcontractors with the right child with the right training? Because they all have specific customized needs. Most of them. I don't know any disabled special needs children that doesn't have that need. So how would you go through that process to match them with the correct person that has training for those special needs?
Well, on our website, we will be having these babysitters with each bio. They will put in their bio what necessities they're able to provide, and parents will be the ones looking into what babysitters they choose to use. And that's kind of the way we're going with right now. We don't exactly want to matchmake each babysitter with a parent. We want to let them be able to be free and let them decide who they want.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
I will say, great presentation. I think a little fast.
Yeah.
I kind of was like, I wanted to go back to some slides, so like slowing down, take some breaths. Especially you got real fast there in the financials, and I'm like, oh, go back a couple slides. I think this is a really, really good idea, and I will echo that of the other judges. I think really what you guys need to lean into how you're doing background screening and how you're finding those specialized babysitters, and make that about your pitch. Say, we are the best at finding the best babysitter for your child, and like, how are you going to show that you do that? A background check is great. I do background checks on every one of my employees, and they will scoop ice cream. It's a great thing, but also like, how do you take that to the next level? You have a specialist that works for you. Maybe that's your employee that can do an interview and process and go through and find for that, that they're either a psychologist or have a doctor background, that they can say, hey, yes, this babysitter is capable of handling these kids with special needs. And I think leaning into that and selling that as your value is what's going to make this be a very potential business and very successful business. On the note of employees versus contractors, you guys did mention on one of your slides that the babysitters pay $11.99 fee to be on the app, but then you're saying they're employees, so that's like contradictory. If they're paying a fee to be on the app, and that means they're like a subcontractor, like Uber or anything else like that. And then on the other side, not like Uber, but like, you know what I mean? Like you're an app where they're signing up to be a business on your app, but then you're saying they're employees. So I think clarifying that and what that looks like. And so,
Yeah, California, nail you on that too. Don't say employee if you're not an employee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, I used to run all my guys through the temp service, and the temp service was paying the comp. So then I got the state saying, hey, where's your employees? I go, I got a lot of folks that work on my projects, and not my employees. So employee versus independent contractor is a very important detail to find as you get closer on that, right? I'm going to go back to one thing I said before, because for some of the judges might not know, but I have seen some of these pitches. And your branding, your logo, your graphics, I think you really need to find a name, and I've heard this said by another judge that inspires the idea that, oh, this is a service that does that, because Sbs Industries, it doesn't speak to that. It's fine that Sbs Industries can be your corporate entity, and then doing business as, best babysitters for, or BB would, or I don't know, say something, your baby, my baby, it's our baby, I don't know, something that makes catchy that people are like, I know what that is, I know what that means, and I know what that is about, and they can refer to it easier. So I swear, when you don't have something catchy, people go, there's this company, they do this thing, it's an app, I saw it somewhere, let me look on my IG to see, oh man, I can't remember what, because Sbs Industries is not going to come to mind. But if you had like, something that's like, boom, just like catchy rhyme, whatever, something, they'll find it. Anyway. It's late in the year and right before your closeout to make those changes. Just remember, you could mention that at the investment type pitch and say, we do have some changes in mind. We just need a little time to get to it.
I don't know how much flexibility you have in terms of the pitch, but like this was your standard VC pitch. If instead you were to sit there and say, hey, we are pitching to potential partners in the babysitting industry. Because that gets rid of all that liability issue, because now you're offloading all that liability and all that sort of, because there's a lot of people in taking care of especially special needs kids. So you're unloading all that legal liability to people who are professionals who've been in that space and know that space. And you're sitting there and saying, we have these great innovations in terms of niche markets and in terms of doing these really good matches between people. And so to me, to sit there and say, hey, we're looking for a partner. This is our partner pitch. I don't know if you guys have the flexibility to do that, but again, there is a real business thing here. You guys are, you're not MBAs yet, but you do have the potential. And the other thing is, if you can get into that sort of partnership model, you have a lot of really great mentors that can sort of help show you how it is you take your ideas into a product, into a project, you know what I mean? And so that was decent. That really catapults you guys.
Thank you.